Welcome to our next poem, Die Heks van Hekservier. Certainly an interesting one. I quite enjoyed it. It's pretty cool. Before we start, if you can just really help me to promote my books. I have books from grade 4, 5, 6, 7. Also 2 high school books. If you don't have the 2 high school books and you're in high school, you are missing out on making Afrikaans really simple for yourself. If you have siblings or friends that you think might benefit, please do me a massive favor and send them the link to this video, or just my Takealot link, which is in the description. Post it on your status, share it on your WhatsApp. That'll really just help me to get the word out and to make a living. Really appreciate it. Hope the poems are helping. Okay, this is not a super difficult one. However, there is a bit of a backstory that you have to understand. You have to understand context here. Okay, so Die Heks van Hekservier, because it's based on a story, okay, a legend, a volksballade. And I thought before we start, let's just get the backstory down and understand what it's all about. And there are various versions to this story, okay, but it's more or less the same thing. Here I got 2. I put one in Afrikaans for you, which we'll quickly go through, and then one in English, which is just a little bit of a variation of the story. I actually like that one a bit more, but I think the officially accepted one is this one. So this girl, Elisa Meyering, and her ouers and her parents lived in the Hekservier Vallei. She was very pretty, baie mooi, and all the young mans wou met haar trou. All these, so this is long ago, right? This is hundreds of years ago in the Cape. Okay, during the when the French were still in the Cape, okay. She fell in love with Flip Durant, one of the boys, okay. Elisa was hoogmoedig. She wasn't a very nice person, right? Proud, haughty, idle, lazy, verveeld, sitting on the farm, bored. And to her it was quite entertaining to have all these men pitch up on the farm and try to win her heart over. Voordat sy vir Flip ja gesê het, moes sy eerst vir haar die rooi Disa blom, the red orchid, en die klowe van die Matroosberg gaan pluk om sy liefde te wys. So she liked Flip, but she gave him a task. She says, I want a red orchid, and if you manage to pick that, a very rare flower that only grows in the misty sandstone cliffs of the Western Cape, sharp, dangerous, wet, that sort of scene. Hy het gegly op die nat mos, he slipped and he fell to his death. Elisa was ontroostbaar. She was inconsolable. She was absolutely shattered and full of remorse, berou, and she went insane. Sy het kranksinnig, sy het mal geword, kranksinnig geraak. En toe die maan helder skyn, het sy weggeloop. And one evening when the moon was bright, she couldn't handle it anymore. She went in her white night dress, wit nagrok, en sy het kaalvoet deur die heuwels gehardloop op soek na haar geliefde. She went crazy, so she thought he was still alive. He was just missing, still fumbling around there in the darkness on the cliffs. Uiteindelik het sy op 'n rots van uitputting neergeval, exhaustion. She fell and she cried. Die rots het verkrummel, crumbled underneath her, en sy tot haar dood geval. She fell to her death. Eeue later leef die legende nog voort. The legend lives on. Met volmaan sal jy haar dalk sien. So now obviously she's a ghost. Okay. And people see her every now and again when you drive in the area. There's a girl in a white night dress, barefoot, running, looking for Flip. Okay. And the inwoners, the locals there, call her die Heks van Hekservier. So another version, Elisa Meyering's wealthy family owned one of 6 farms in Buffelskraal in 1768. Okay, it's a while ago. With the farmhouse always full of men trying to win Elisa's hand. She was one of those blasé young ladies who quickly became bored with the suitors. To win her heart, a man had to truly earn it. She suggested to all her admirers to try and pick a Disa flower for her from the ravines of Matroosberg. Despite the difficult challenge, there was one man who Elisa truly loved and who truly loved her. He was the only one brave enough to accept the challenge. His journey was long and arduous, but it was all worth it when he saw the red Disos blooming on the cliffs. In his excitement, he leaned over to grab the first flower, but slipped on the wet moss and fell to his tragic death. When Elisa heard the news of her beloved death, her whole being was filled with grief and remorse, because she realized that her own selfishness had caused the death of one true love. What a horrible person. She didn't have to put him through that risk. This remorse grew into madness, and soon Elisa had to be locked in her own bedroom where she was cared for. So that's a little bit different than the other story. Elisa tried to escape several times in vain, but it was only with the help of the moonlight that she finally succeeded. With her long white nightgown flowing around her, Elisa ran barefoot through the hills, searching for her true love. She searched fruitlessly through the night and finally collapsed on a rock from exhaustion. There she sat and cried, and the wind carried her sorrow until her family heard it. Her family followed the sound of the daughter's sorrow, only to see the rock crumble beneath her, and she fell to her death. Her story serves as a warning against vanity. Okay, so that's the background of the poem, right? So the whole poem just basically, the whole poem's easy, very easy. So they could ask you what kind of, I think they will, right? They're going to ask you what kind of poem is this? Wat dit type. So use this. It's a volksballade. Okay. Sometimes also called a romantic ballad. A volksballade handel gewoonlik oor afguns, envy or jealousy tussen geliefdes en wraak. It's normally about love and revenge. Those are the two themes. Hierdie gedig is 'n epiese lyriese volksballade. I think if you just say volksballade, that should be fine. You'll get your marks. It's got elements of a story, characters, theme, plot. Okay, so just simplify that for yourself. So it's a volksballade. Dit gaan oor twee geliefdes. Dit het elemente van 'n story. Done. Okay, so you don't have to expand too much there, and I'm going to ask you to write a paragraph on it. Okay, so now I'm going to put my face there. Alright, so here's the actual poem, and then there's the translation. So let's run through it, and then I've got notes for you. Let's do it. Die heks van Hekservier. Toe die Hekservier se heide teen die berggange blom, when the Hex River's flower bloomed against the mountain slopes, het 'n Hugenote meisie, 'n Huguenot girl, van Drakenstein gekom. She was from Drakenstein. Die lig in haar oë het die jonkmans betower, the light in her eyes enchanted the young men. They fell in love with her. Maar net een kon dit regkry om haar hart te verower. Only one could succeed in winning her heart. Simple. Elise, o Elise, met die lieflike oë, jou hart sou jy gee vir die rooi orchidee. Nice, coupled rhyme there. Elise, o Elise, with the lovely eyes, your heart you would give for the red orchid. Elise, o Elise, jy het jou liefde beloof. Elise, o Elise, you pledged your love on hom wat die blom van die berggang sou bring, to him who would bring the flower from the mountainside. Just like the backstory, right? Toe hy opklim teen die kraanse na die rooi orchidee, het sy lankal besluit om haar liefde te gee. When he climbed up the cliffs to the red orchid, she had already decided to give him her love. Maar sy voet het gegly en onder op die rotse met 'n disa in sy hand is sy liggaam gekry. Interesting, there's no rhyme there. Rotse. Didn't pick that up before. I might just make a note there. There's no rhyme because he's just died. You catch my drift, okay? Yeah. Anyway, as nevels in die maanlig om die rotswande vou, staan daar bo op die afgrond 'n eensame vrou. So this is now years after the incident, as the mists in the moonlight curl around the rock walls or the cliffs, an abandoned woman stands above the abyss. En saam met winde wat huil deur die klowe, roep sy na hom wat haar hart, want haar hart was beloof. And with the wind that howls through the ravines, she calls to him. She's still searching for him, because she promised her heart to him. Elise, o Elise, met die lieflike oë, Elise, o Elise, with the lovely eyes, your hart wil jy gee vir die rooi orchidee, your heart you wanted to give for the red orchard. Okay, interesting, hey? Because we can actually make a modern application of this, but that's interesting. But we'll have a look later. I'm just going to delete the English for now. Move that there. All right. Whoopsie, it's too big. All right. Okay, so the title. If they ask for a title, who is this hex? You're going to say it's the ghost of Elisa Meyering. Get your marks. She looks for Flip Durant. You know that because you know the backstory. Where is the Hexrivier? It's a side branch river of the Suidtak van die Brede Rivier. Brede River is one of the biggest rivers in the Cape, if not the biggest. Wat vloei deur die Matroosberg. So in this area you can say it was baie skerp and stale hellings. There's very sharp cliffs, dangerous cliffs. Huguenote meisie. Who, they could ask you, wie was die Huguenote? They were refugees from France, religious refugees. They were, so the main religion in France back then was Catholicism, the Catholics, okay? The Huguenots were Protestants. They were influenced by the Protestant movement, okay? More like the other churches that we have today. Not, look, you've got the Catholics still, and then the rest, basically. Okay, that's a very generalization, very rough generalization. But so underneath the Protestants, you have a lot of denominations, right? But that's not important. So all you need to know is these. Hulle het uit Frankryk na die Kaap gevlug as gevolg van hulle geloof. Hulle is protestante Christene wat teen die Katholieke gestaan het. Okay. And obviously when they were here in the Cape, there were already another European nations people were here, the Dutch. Okay. That's why Afrikaans has so many French words mixed in with it, because the early Dutch definitely had contact with the French. All right. Just a bit of history. So they could. I would ask this: who do you think is the narrator in the poem? Who's speaking here? It's not Philip. No, don't say that. That's the poet. Okay. Wie is die spreker? Well, perhaps it's someone who knows the story. Iemand wat die story ken en dit vertel. Perhaps it's family or friends of Elise or Flip. Okay, that could be valid answers. And just as a note here, you know, the word hacks, it's a very loaded term, right? Especially for that time, 14, 15, 16, 17. Hundreds and thousands of women were burned at the stake because they thought they were witches. Okay. I mean, it was the law. If someone was a witch, you had to burn them. Okay, and that's part of what the Huguenots didn't enjoy. Okay, this burning of women. I mean, that's terrible. It's just being burnt alive must be the most horrific thing that you can imagine. Okay, so fortunately, we lived in enlightened times, and the word witch has kind of lost its impact. If someone says, I'm a witch, you laugh. You're like, what do you mean you're a witch? Do you have a bad attitude, or what's going on? Okay, so it means it's basically lost all that horrible meaning, thank goodness. Okay, but we could describe Elise as a bit of a hacks, because she's a player, right? She played men. All these men visited her. She enjoyed the gifts. She enjoyed all the attention. And I couldn't help but think about Instagram and all these women who just love the attention on Instagram, all the likes, all the followers, all the posts, all the private messages that you then get. Wow, that must make you feel so great. And then imagine actually liking one, and then you give that one a challenge to do, and then that person dies. Okay, one of your Instagram followers, you say, okay, I actually like this person. I'm going to give him a challenge to climb up a building, and with no ropes, and he climbs up and he falls to his death. How would you feel? This is the kind of thing we're dealing with here. Okay. All right. So line 2, Drakensberg. Okay. So that's just the name of the area. The word dragon, it just also creates that feeling of onheil, that feeling of mystery and evil. That something's bad is going to happen, and it is going to happen. So it's a voorspelling. Voorspel dat iets slegs gaan gebeur. That's quite clever. Okay. Die lig in haar oë het die jonkmans betower. So she had light in her eyes. What could that refer to? Normally, light refers to insight and knowledge. But her insight and knowledge was very specific. Her insight and knowledge was on how to seduce men. Okay, she's a player, right? Okay, she played these men, these poor guys, all right? She probably had blue eyes. That's what it probably literally refers to. Figuratively, she had this skill, this evil skill of making men fall in love with her when she's not interested in them. Okay, that's one of the worst things you can do, is make someone, if you're an attractive person, don't do this. Don't let someone fall in love with you with no intention of ever reciprocating it. That is essentially evil. That's essentially evil. Because you did it just to stroke your ego. That's why you did it. And to make you feel better about yourself. Okay? That happens. I was a teacher for many years, and I saw it happening at schools. You know. And it's normally, I must say, in the defense of boys, it's normally the boys who suffer. I'm going to get backlash for this, I realize that. But in my experience, you know, it's normally the boys. Shame. You might disagree. You're welcome to. You're welcome to. I have to keep it interesting, guys. Okay. Maar. Where's the maar? There's a maar. Okay, so when you see a maar, it always kind of means something. So here it's not much. It's just a bit of progression. Sy was nie ernstig oor al die mans nie. She wasn't serious. Net een kon dit regkry om haar hart te verower. She was playing around. Sy vry in die bondel. But then, ja, sy het verlief geraak op 'n man. She fell in love with one of them. Good. Okay. Elise, oh Elise, met die lieflike oë. So they say Elise, oh Elise, with the lovely eyes. That repetition, herhaling van die woorde, beklemtoon die verlange van die seun na Elise. It emphasizes this longing of the boy of this boy to Elise, or vice versa, or the narrator saying, remember, she was so beautiful. Jou hart sou gee vir die rooi orchidee. So a red orchid, okay, they will ask this, they're going to ask this, I promise you. I would definitely. I'm just going to take that away, and then I'm going to move that down. Okay, the red orchid. So under normal circumstances, we'll say, that's a symbol of love. Easy, a red orchid, cool. Yeah, love. But here, there's irony here, because the orchid leads to something evil and something horrific. I'm going to say, rather, that it's a symbol of her pride, her hoogmoedigheid is snobbishness, and her arrogance. Okay, I think that's the irony here, is that she changed the symbol here. Her actions here changed the symbol of the meaning of the red orchid. Then there's a lot of B alliteration. Where is it? Die blom van die berggang sou bring. Okay, so it gives nice rhythm on one level. Yes, always. Okay, so if there are something there about the B alliteration. It could indicate the sound of the cliff snapping, breaking. Okay, the sound of breaking, hard sounds. Two. Okay, so if you see two, it's always going to mean something. So it is a vending. Okay, so definitely a shift in the poem. Because why? Here he's deciding he's going to climb up the cliff to the red orchid. Flip gaan die berg uitklim. Die climax kom nader. The climax is very close now. Okay, of the poem. His death is the climax, and then her death is another climax as well. Okay. Now, yeah, these two lines are important, right? Because here it exposes her evil. Toe hy opklim teen die kraanse na die orgidee, het sy lang al besluit om haar liefde te gee. So, he didn't have to prove anything. She already decided that she liked him, she wants to marry him, before she asked him to climb up the mountain, up the cliff, to get the orchid. So she did this just for her own amusement. Okay, for her own entertainment. Like, I love this guy, but I want to make him work for it. He must go pick the orchid. And then he fell to his death. How evil. Okay, so I say here, sy was so trots. She was so proud and so evil, boos, dat sy die seun onnodig die berg laat uitklim het. It was unnecessary. Sy het hom onnodig in gevaar geplaas. She placed him in danger unnecessarily. He didn't have to climb up the mountain. She loved him. Stupid girl. Yeah. Okay, and then he falls, right? His foot slips. Met 'n disa in sy hand, and there he's lying at the bottom of the cliff, dead, with a flower in his hand. Okay, they found his body. So, just the way is sy liggaam gekry. So, they used the leidende vorm, yeah. They used the leidende vorm here. So, what does that do? It implies that they had to look for his body. Who knows where this guy went? Into the mountains, okay? Impliseer hulle moes soek vir die liggaam. He went so far and so deep into the mountains, it wasn't like right there. Like, oh, there he falls. There he's going. There he falls. No, he had to walk, search, work, all unnecessarily. So by line 13, Elise is evidently also dead by this time. Okay, here it's this whole stanza, this whole quatrain, this whole 4 lines here. Evidently, she's dead. She's a ghost here, I think. Hey, am I right? I say hier is Elise ook dood. Sy spook nou in die berge waar haar geliefde gesterf het. She now haunts. Spook is haunt. She haunts the places where her loved one died. She calls from her punishment. So it's almost like a divine punishment here, that she will, no, you did something evil, so now you're going to be a ghost, and forever and ever and ever you're going to search for Flip. One of the variations is that she also jumped off, but she fell off, she died there. Okay. There's some nice W alliteration. Where was it now? As die nevels in die maanlig om die rotswande vou, there, WW, that's quite cool. Winde wat deur die klowe roep, so there's a lot of W's, so it just adds to the Skeppel Hartveer atmosphere, and it pas in met die geluid van die winde, it fits in with the sound of the winds. So there's paarrym, there's coupled rhyme everywhere. Blom, gekom, betower, verower, oor, orchidee, it's not really, there, belove, bring. Okay, so it does sometimes break that pattern. Does sometimes break the pattern. Okay, is that meaningful? No, not really. So I just said the coupled rhyme that they use, it's ironic because Elise and Flip will never be a couple, ever. Okay, and then that last couplet, the last couplet, is a repetition here of line 5 and 6. You see that? It's a repetition. Why do they do that? Why would they do that? I just say it beklemtoon haar hopelose verlange. It emphasizes a hopeless longing. You could say die hartseer, okay, you can say multiple things there. Okay, so quite a simple poem, isn't it, in terms of content, if you understand the theme. So the theme here would be pride leads to a fall, vanity leads to destruction, vanity leads to heartache, something like that. Hartseer lei na hoogmoed lei na hartseer. I think I've got it somewhere here. Okay, I hope that helps. If it does, please forward it to your teacher, or if you are a teacher, please forward it to your colleagues if you feel that it helps. Put it on your Google Drives, on your, what's the things you use, Google Classroom, and what's the other one where you store things? Yeah, so where kids can access the links, and you're welcome to use it. Please also, if you'd like to order books in bulk, that is my business really, contact me, and obviously it'll be way cheaper than on Takealot. With Takealot, there's a whole lot of different additional fees that has to be covered. It's just not easy. Anyway, but thanks for listening, and we'll chat very soon.